Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're featuring a brand new Sinn. This has only just come out and this is one of the first in the UK. This is the 103 STTY HD. A bit of a mouthful, that one. But basically this came out at the same time as the U50 Hydro, so the middle of February, and this is one of the first ones actually in the UK. And it's definitely got a sort of more sort of like a 70s look to it, I would say. It's definitely kind of the use of colours in it, even down to the strap design, I think gives it a more kind of vintage style look. It's definitely something a little bit more different, I would say, anyway. Now, the reason I say this is the bold use of red and this kind of cream colour on here, even down to the funky kind of green leather strap on this. It definitely is a little bit more kind of yeah, it's definitely got that vibe to it, hasn't it? But before I get too far into review, I've got to say a massive thank you to the team over at First Class Watches of Kenilworth for allowing me to review this watch. What can I say other than they've got such a large amount of watches, over 115 brands actually on site. Really worth popping in if you're in the Kenilworth area. If you're a bit further afield, I'll leave a link to their website in the description below and on the bottom of the page now. All I ask is that if you do phone up and contact them, please mention the channel, as it really would help. Thank you. So anyway, what do we have here? Let's talk sizes. It's a 41mm. Well, it says 41mm, but that is actually the bezel. The case size is a little bit smaller. As you say, it overhangs slightly. That makes it much easier to actually purchase the bezel. Now, the thickness of the watch is 14.8mm. And the lug to lug, so this point to there, is 47mm and the strap size is 20mm. Now, the dial is quite funky on this one, as I say. You've got this matte black finish here, and then you've got these subdials. After all, this is a 103. They are pilot chronographs normally. So over here we have a constant running seconds for your timekeeping, and then we have a 30-minute counter for your minutes with this kind of roulette style sort of like surround to it there, which is quite interesting, and the hour totalizer there. We do have a matte black kind of finish, but we do have these nice polished hour markers here, and they are really well polished. Hard to get a proper picture of them there because you've got the distortion from this crystal. But overall, I do quite like the fact you've got these nice polished hands. There is actually, to be fair, a good amount of lume in these hands. You do have lume on the hour markers there, or just above them, and lume on the dial. And believe it or not, this is actually a DIN certified diver, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second. Now, what we have here in this kind of cream outer section is a tachymeter. Now, it does look really quite cool on there. You know, I'm not quite sure who uses them these days, but it does kind of match that kind of theme as well, the more kind of 70s theme, which I get from this watch. Let's actually start the chrono running. It's got such a crisp startup. It's not too heavy. You get some chronos which are really quite hard to press. This one is really just, I'd say, spot on. It really feels nice. The reset. Oh, sorry, stop. Reset. Smack. No problem at all. It really is. This is one of the nicest chronos I've found. It does feel really smooth. Now, once we get past the actual dial there, we have this big boxed crystal. Now, I honestly thought it sounds like sapphire, but it says it's an acrylic crystal, but it really does sound like sapphire. You know, even now, if they wouldn't say it in the blurb, I would think that was sapphire. Now, the distortion given is absolutely insane, as you can see there. It is so tall. It is really quite tall. Many people would actually, when you read this watch, you tend to only read from there to there, so it looks really slim on the wrist. But anyway, as we come past that, we have the bezel. The bezel is a full PVD treated bezel, and it's a bidirectional. It's a friction bezel. So what I mean by that is there's no ratcheting system there, so it will spin, you know, exactly however you want it. Because as I say, this technically does have the ability to be used as a dive watch, and it's quite interesting since it is a pilot's watch, but it is a certified diver's watch also, which is quite strange. Now, especially being this is a hand-wound movement. So being a hand-wound movement, there's no screw-down crown, which is a bit, you'd normally think, well, that's never going to work. But this features Sinn's D3 tech on there. So there is a multitude of seals on this. Even if you were to accidentally rotate this underwater, you should not have any problems with water ingress at all. So that's how they get away with a chronograph and actually, a non-screw-down crown featuring 200 meters of water resistance, so no problem. The case itself is the classic 103 case. Just nicely polished. You have these very defined bevel edges on the edge of the lugs there. They're just solid, no problem at all. So yeah, can't fault that. Now, as we turn it round, as I say, this is a limited edition. It's one of 1,000 models made. But what's under there, it's a shame you can't see it because it's a very well decorated, the Sellita SW510M. And it is a really quite a nice looking cam operated chronograph, but it's just the shame you can't see it. Now, I put this on the time grapher and it did amazing. It was drawing in the position I had it, 0 seconds. I think it was 0 beat rate also. So cannot fault it. It's a 23 dual movement and it has a power reserve of up to 63 hours. So you get a good 2.5 days out of this. So no problem at all. That really is quite cool. Now, come past that and we have this rather funky green strap. Now, at first, I really wasn't sure about it, but I do quite like it now. It's one of these, it does look good. But let's say you don't like this. You can always swap it over because in the box, it also comes with this second strap. And what's a little bit funky with this, it's got a red tip on the bottom there. And this is more a rally style clasp. Because it's got the perforated sections up there, so you can run this like that. Being that this is a 103 model, I'm pretty sure you could even run it with the 103 bracelet. So always food for thought. You do have a side Sinn buckle at the top there. Let's have a quick wrist check and we'll get this on the wrist. I'm wearing the 103, so I'm pretty sure this bracelet would fit on that, no problem at all. Bob is wearing the Sinn U50 Hydro, and we have a new a new guy at the back there, and that is a Nixie tube clock from Bad Dog's Design. Now, Bad Dog Design, sorry, I will be doing a full review of that at a later time. Now, here it is on my wrist. And now my wrist size is 7¼ inches, which I think is about 18.5 centimeters. So you get an idea how it looks. And as you can see, it does hunker down really well on the wrist. Some people will say, oh, it's almost 14.5 mil, it's too thick. But you don't read the crystal, do you? You only read to there. Like that looks more like a 10 mil watch when you look at it like that. It is really nice and slim. The reason they can get this under 15 mil is because it's not a automatic. It is a manual wind. Now, one thing I should also point out, there is no ghost date on this. You go straight to handset, so no problems there at all. But anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you to it at that. And any questions, leave them in the comments below. And most importantly, stay safe out there. Take care, guys. Bye.